Today on the channel, we are brewing a sexy blonde ale so that you can drink something delicious while you draw me like one of your French girls, Jack. Let's start brewing. Now, the grain bill for this sexy blonde ale is going to consist of 84.5% of Pilsner malt, 9.8% of wheat malt, 3.1% of Gladiator, and rounding out the end, 2.6% of medium crystal malt. So the whole idea here is that we want the main body of the beer to just be that classic Pilsner malt, light, crisp, a little bit of breadiness, a little bit of nuttiness. I want that wheat to come through and make everything just a little bit silky and round out those corners. And then the Gladiator malt is for that head retention. It's a dextrin malt. And that last little bit of crystal malt, we just add a touch of body and a little bit of sweetness to our finished product and just touch up the color to make it a little bit more golden rather than just straight up straw color. So let's get grain milling, shall we? And away we go. Now that we're done milling, let's get to mashing. We just had a delivery guy show up and drop off some stuff here at the brewery. He just looks serious. No judgment. Thanks. Now, let's mash in. Oh God, I don't know how people have hair this long. I mean, I know I used to have long hair, but it was nothing like this. This is so annoying. It's like in my face. Oh, and if you haven't seen the video where we showcase this thing, 10 things that all home brewers should own, thumb card up there. Power drill has got to be right up the list along with a paint mixer for mashing in. All right, last bit of grains in here, we'll throw them in. Now, we are gonna be doing a step mash for this one because I want this to be a very, very fermentable wort. I want this to finish quite dry, so it's crisp, clean finishing. I'll have the silkiness from the dextrin malt and from the wheat, but the idea is that this is a very clean and easy drinking beer. So the step mash is going to be first step at 64 degrees Celsius. That's going to activate all of our beta amylase, and then second step, and that's for half an hour. Then second step is at 70 degrees Celsius. That's going to activate all the alpha amylase, and that's going to make this wort very, very fermentable. Then at the end of that, we'll do a mash out at 77 degrees Celsius for 10 to 15 minutes. Oh, and that was 20 liters of strike water, by the way, going to be followed by 15 liters of sparge water. All right, that is mashing in done. Always nice and easy with the paint mixer. Let's pop on the top filter and we'll start recirculating. Get off me. All right, on that goes. Pop the little stopper on as well. If I end up with a ton of hair in this beer, at least I know where it came from.
It's a true blonde then.
Yeah, that's the secret ingredient.
You can't make a blonde unless you're blonde.
All right, let's pop this on. Now, this will recirculate and begin the mash stepping process as I just said. So we'll come back at the end of this when it's time to sparge. We're back. And we're ready to start sparging. Oh my God. Ah!
Blame the hair.
All right, on that nice and easy. We have 15 liters of sparge water at the ready, already with its phosphoric acid and salts accounted for. And we're just gonna slowly drop this over the top of the grain bed bit by bit to let all of these extra sugars come out and increase our efficiency on the final product. All right, the water chemistry for this one is 24 parts per million of calcium, 5 parts magnesium, 15 parts sodium, 31 parts chloride, 36 parts sulfate, and 57 parts per million of bicarbonate. The hair's going up my nose. So the idea here is we want a very soft water profile. I wanted slightly more sulfate to chloride, it's not so much of a ratio like a 1:2 or anything like that. It's just slightly more to help emphasize a little bit of extra crispness. But the idea was I just wanted a very soft, balanced water profile that would really let the elegance of the beer shine through. We want the sexiness of this blonde to be the star character, which is going to be the balance, the crispness, the clean finish. We don't really need a heavy salt or hard water to do that. So it's all about just keeping everything nice and gentle so that the blonde can be the star of the show. Now, once we're...
Flick your hair.
The blonde can be the star of the show. Now, once we're finished sparging, we'll get to the boiling step. All right, I think we're about to boil over. Ooh, 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 that was close. We're very, very full. I think we've got about 34 liters here, which is like, what is that, like 7 gallons or something? I don't know. Odin will correct this in post-edit. But it is time to add our boil hops. I'm just gonna be very careful with this because when you add hops, you can get a big frother. But this is gonna be 28 grams, which is 1 ounce of Hallertau Miffelfre. I think I got the pronunciation right that time, which is the same hop that we used in our Marzen a few videos ago. Link up there if you want to go see that for Oktoberfest. But this time I am going to stick with the noble German hop variety because I think it will play quite nicely in a delicate, sexy blonde ale. And this is going to give us a total of, what was it, of 8.7 IBUs at this point in the boil. Start your clocks. At the end of the hour, we'll go flame out. At the 45-minute mark, we'll add our final aroma and flavoring hops, and then obviously end of the hour, we flame out. So we'll see you there. All right, we are now at our 15-minute boil addition, whilst our flavor and aroma hops, and it's once again going to be Hallertau Miffelfre. And we are going with 56 grams, which is 2 ounces, giving us another 8.6 IBUs to finish at a total of 17 IBUs, which will give us just enough bitterness to keep the beer interesting, but not so much that it's going to overpower and make it like a bitters. It's just going to keep everything in balance. The key with being blonde and beautiful is balance. I'm also going to add some whirlfloc, and then after this 15 minutes is done, we'll start crashing this thing down to yeast pitching temperature. There we go. It's struggling. There we go, we got there. We are cooling down. Sorry, not whirlpooling, we're cooling. Oh my God. So violent. All right, now, whilst that is going to whirlpool and help us clean up our trub a bit, make a trub cone at the bottom, worth telling you guys about our merch and Patreon. If you want to help support the channel so we can keep making ridiculous videos just like this, you can head over to our Patreon in the link down below and get more behind the scenes stuff, or pick up some merch from our store, theflyingwombat.com.au, where you can get some cool gear and help us keep making awesome videos. Now, once this has finished cooling down to yeast pitching temperature, we'll whack it into the fermenter and talk about yeast. Oh, actually, while we're here, hop flavor, forgot to mention that before. The Hallertau Miffelfre is going to give us a pretty traditional German flavor and aroma, which is not uncharacteristic of a blonde, which is kind of what we're going for. So it's going to be slightly herbal, slightly floral, maybe a little touch of citrus in there, but it's basically going to be beer flavored beer, which is kind of what we're going for with this thing. So let's let this cool down and then we'll talk about some yeast.
You do look like a Viking blonde German girl.
Viking blonde German girl. I think like the Oktoberfest maidens. I just need some.
You need the skirt.
I need the skirt and the dress that pushes up the bosom. Okay, we are coming out at yeast pitching temperature very quickly. It's coming out at about 21, 22 degrees Celsius, which is perfect. We are also going to do a small split batch. So I'm going to siphon off about 3 liters, 3.5 into the jug here. I'm then going to whack that over into the iGulu over there so that I can do an A/B test with different yeast strains. In here, I'm going to whack USO5, so it's going to be a blonde ale. Over in there, I'm going to whack in S23 Saf Lager, so it's going to be the exact same, sorry guys, going to be the exact same grain bill and everything, except one's going to be a lager and one is going to be a pale ale. So, see you after transferring. All right, that's coming up to about, that's 3 liters, that's about 3.5 liters now. Awesome. Now let's try to do this without spilling. Perfect. And away we go, transferring the rest of the batch. Probably a good time actually to take a wee little gravity reading. That was 27 liters total of wort, which I did intentionally so that I would have extra wort to play with. If you're making this yourself, you probably could just slightly reduce the grains and the water amounts to adjust the recipe down and just make less wort. All right, now we are looking at 1.050 bang on the nose. I'm fairly certain that is over target. I think target was like 1.045 or something like that. So this will probably be about a 5.5% blonde. Boozy aside, for a blonde, I was going for like 4.5 type of territory, so it'd be like a really crushable, not super high ABV beer, kind of like a lawnmower beer. Oh well, we've got an extra percent of booze, I'm not complaining. Anyway, transferring all this, then we'll pitch some yeast. There we have it, that is transfer complete. We just got the last drips coming out now. Bang on 21 liters or 5.5 gallons, which is perfect after the trube losses and everything. That's gonna be a full keg. And you can just see how well that whirl flock worked. You can even look at it over here, that sample we transferred earlier. Thick trube layer on the bottom, crystal clear up top. So whirl flock, ladies and gentlemen, does work very well as a very effective whirlpool. Look at that trub cone right in the middle there. That is why whirlpooling is just so good for making crystal clear beers. Okay, transfer is done. Let's stop pumping that through now. I'm gonna plop you back in there. And now we can pitch our yeast. So that's just that US 05 that's gonna go in. Bop, 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 bop. Should have done a yeast starter. You know, if you wanna watch our yeast starter videos, like how to do that kind of stuff, you know, link up there. I was lazy, forgot to do it honestly. I was meant to do this yesterday, didn't do it. Anyway, that's done. You'll see us in a moment when we transfer this into the iGulu and pitch some yeast in there. And then after that, it'll be time to see the results of all of our labor. So see you in a moment. And now it's time to add this 3.5 liters of wort to the iGulu. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tip this all in. It's amazing how much this is clarified. So full transparency, it has been a little bit of time since the brew day on the regular fermenter finished. I'm gonna stop there. It's slightly under what you're meant to do, but I don't mind that because I'm avoiding quite a bit of trube and I want a very clear beer at the end of this. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm guessing that's about 3 liters based on what's left in here. Yep, cool. And now I'm not adding S23. That was the original plan, but then my yeast delivery showed up and I have Lallemand diamond yeast, which I've never actually used before, but I've been wanting to try for quite a long time. So I'm gonna use this and I'm just gonna kind of loosely sprinkle because it's a very small batch. So honestly, about 1.5 grams would do it. I'm just gonna do about that. It's probably more than enough. And then let's seal this bad boy up so that we can start fermenting. Whoops, there we go. Okay, and now we pop her back into the iGulu. Let's whack the, what do you call it? The beer line on, the gas line on. We can top on the lid. Oops, sorry guys. We've also had a beer or two in between filming for this bit, and clearly I'm not as dexterous as I was a few hours ago. I'll fix the pretty stuff later. Now, QR code. I'm gonna use the RFID code. I'm gonna use the same one as I did for the Helles Lager. I can program this manually, but it's probably gonna be about the same fermentation schedule, honestly. So I'm just gonna go ahead with the same one, Helles, German Helles, next, brew, and then away we go. So this is gonna start getting this to the correct fermentation temperature, which is, I believe, gonna be about 13, 14 degrees Celsius for about 2 weeks. Then it's gonna have different stages where it starts to cold crash. We'll come back to you now when it's time to taste the sexy blonde ale. I'm not wearing my wig. Oh well. We'll come back to you when it's time to taste the sexy blonde ale. And now finally, we can talk about the results of this sexy blonde ale. So on my right hand, your left is the lagered version with the diamond lager yeast. And I have to say, that is cleared up absolutely beautifully in the iGulu. That thing is actually a really, really good unit for this A/B testing kind of thing. I want to use it more for that from now on, because the ability to have a split batch just to compare yeasts, look at the difference there. Same exact beer, same exact brew day, same wort. This is lager yeast and this is the ale yeast. So let's go in for a taste, shall we? I'll start with the ale. Okay, classic, just blonde, classic blonde. It's got relatively low bitterness. It's got a kind of a herbal and slightly fruity quality to it. It's really crisp, really dry finishing, which is awesome, like great summer lawnmower style of beer. Overall, it's just beer flavored beer. It's just delightful. It's slightly sweet, slightly malty, slightly hoppy. It's all just very in balance, because being a beautiful blonde is all about balance. Now, over on the lager, extremely similar in every possible way in terms of the maltiness, in terms of the hoppiness and everything, except this one just finishes cleaner. That's just the key word for it. It's just clean. It has that classic lager, not sharp finish is the wrong word, but tidy finish, I suppose you would say. It's it's got that very well-rounded quality to it in terms of like everything is exactly where it should be. It's very clean. There's not a lot of esters going on. It's very, very lagery tasting. And I guess that shows with just the dropout of suspension of all the stuff in this beer. Like, this is crystal clear. And there's zero gelatin with this. It was just time. But the one problem with this, and now that I'm realizing with lagers, is typically you do make lagers a little more bitter, I suppose, for this exact reason, because it's almost like it's so clean, it's kind of lacking character in a really weird way. It's lacking a bit of character that this has purely from the esters that the ale yeast provides. So if I'm gonna brew this one again as a lager, I would literally just add some more hops to account for some extra bitterness and a little bit of flavor and aroma hop extra addition as well, just to give it a little bit of something more, because that lager yeast really tidied things up. But I know what diamond lager yeast tastes like now, which is really, really cool. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this ridiculous video. If you want us to keep doing more stuff like this, please remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check out our links down below for the recipes, other brew days that we've done, our merch shop, as well as our Patreon. Now, until next week, cheers, guys. I'll catch you later.